Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sam's Corner. I have my good friend here today, Kevin Scoop Culp, along to discuss some Gamecock baseball, mac and cheese, USC women's basketball, golf, Camden High women's basketball, and his top 5 favorite food stops around the state. What do you have to say, Scoop?
Glad to be here, man. Glad you decided, like I told you in the text the other night, decided to kind of go with your passion. I see a lot of you and me when we were real little. We were sports nuts. It didn't matter the sport. We were playing it. We knew about it. I still pay attention to just random sports.
Everything.
Curling will be on TV sometimes, and I'll sit.
We're watching it.
Yeah, I remember when you were little, and we'd be at the Carolina games, and you'd be down there talking to Alshon Jeffrey's mom. So you never met a stranger, kind of like me. But now's the time to do it. You're still young. You're no kids, no family. Anyway, I can support you. I'll be more than happy to. I'm glad you let me come on and jab my jaws a little bit.
Yes, sir. Let's get to the good stuff. All right, we're gonna start with mac and cheese. This is the Southern delicacy to some people, and to us too, it is. Scoop, in your opinion, what makes mac and cheese a Southern delicacy in the South?
Yeah, so mac and cheese is something I'm very passionate about. Probably one of my top non-meat foods. I mean, I could eat every meal if I had. Back in the day, I probably did. I try not to eat it quite as much because as you get older, the metabolism slows down and all that. But my thing with mac and cheese is I like it to be whole and not watery.
It's got to be thick and rich.
Yeah, I mean, I have some microwavable stuff that I make my son every now and then, and it has to sit there for about 10 minutes or it's watery. But I like it to be wholesome and cheesy.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the best mac and cheese I've had my entire life, and it's probably because I grew up, is my mom's. I mean, she adds an ingredient that just kind of puts the mac in the mac and cheese.
Oh, yeah.
She takes Cheez-Its and puts them in, it sounds simple, but she puts them in a Ziploc bag and just,
crunches.
Oh, yeah. And then takes that and sprinkles it on top of the mac and cheese. I can't give away all her secrets, but, there's a nice layer of nice big noodles with a bunch of cheese intertwined, a big layer of cheese on top, and then those Cheez-Its on top baked into them. Whew. I have to bring you some sometime, Sam.
Yeah, I'd have to say my favorite recipe, it's a toss-up. It's between B's mac and cheese and then Jan Shoemate's mac and cheese, which is, I call her Cookie because we used to bake cookies whenever I was little, and that's something I always remember. But I think hers is the best. I think Cookie's is the best. She uses bow tie noodles, and then she uses cream cheese and sharp cheddar and puts it all in there. God, it's good.
Well, a shameless plug, but I ain't saying this just because he's sponsoring our baseball team this year, but non-homemade, got to go with Scott Edwards and the Hell Street Grill.
100%. 100%.
A lot of times when we're having a dinner, my wife doesn't want to cook, like a family dinner or whatever, she don't want to cook everything. She doesn't have the time because of school or whatnot. She'll get a platter of that from Scott.
Oh, yeah.
It's right there. It's 2A to my mama's. I'll tell you that. hopefully he sees that.
Would you ever include mac and cheese as a single meal, even as a kid?
Yeah, and I did. I still do. Every now and then my son cannot eat all the mac and cheese. So I'll eat the leftovers later in the evening with that either. But I could definitely, it's got it's got your starches, it's got your dairy. I guess with Cheez-Its on top, it's got some sort of oat, wheat, what they're made out of. So It could definitely be top that with a nice bottle of water or whatnot, and you got a meal in itself.
Is mac and cheese a must make for every holiday meal?
In the Culp house, it is. I mean, your house at Thanksgiving and stuff's probably like mine. You got mac and cheese, potatoes, rice,
The whole 9 yards, green beans, all that.
Take them all
Green bean
together, put them in a
casserole.
bowl. Yeah, just eat them all together.
This would be killing me with the casseroles. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, but I think it's definitely needs to be an option out there in case somebody wants to eat it. Personally, I don't have a holiday meal without mac and cheese.
Oh yeah, that's same with me. It doesn't feel the same if mac and cheese is not on the menu.
Oh yeah.
But let's jump to the players. Lee Westwood, the old dog, is ahead on top at 9 under. We got Matthew Fitzpatrick at 8 under. Chris Kirk at 7. Sergio Garcia at 7. Doug M at 6. Sunjay M at 6. Denny McCarthy at 6. Brian Harmon at 6. Bryson DeChambeau, I mean, that's a regular every week at 6. And Charlie Hoffman at 6. Scoop, who do you like in this field?
The players, I love the players almost, and they call it this now, but I mean, I've always kind of looked at it as a fifth major,
Oh yeah.
That course is so easy, but so challenging. You got the best players in the world hitting a 125-yard shot into the water 3 times on that 17th green. There's people that don't even play golf, that don't watch golf, and they know the 17th green at Sawgrass. What I like about the players, though, is there's kind of this youth movement in golf. You're seeing a lot. Golf, goes through phases. At one point, it was all Tiger. They tried to Tiger-proof golf courses. Once they did that, it was a little more fair. Recently, you've seen Phil and some of these guys getting older, Tiger being injured as much as he has, and you see this. When I say younger generation, I'm not even talking about like the Ricky Fowlers, the Justin Thomases. I'm talking like the Fitzpatricks, the
DeChambeau.
So it always seems that this tournament is a good seesaw of experience and youth.
Mm-hmm.
Limberback kids that can just hammer the ball. Not everybody's like Bryson, DeChambeau, and can hit it a mile just because he's big and strong. A lot of them, it's the build, the tall, lanky build. And, it's good to see some resurgence of people that I didn't think quite were past their prime, like Lee Westwood.
I love seeing him in the field every week. I mean,
probably non-American, he's probably one of my favorites. He's not real glitz and glamour, just goes out there
and plays golf.
I would like to see him. If I'm not mistaken, he's never won a major, right?
No, he's never won a major.
Yeah,
he's never won a Players
like 15 times.
He's been knocking on the doorstep, and many. It's his time.
I'd like to see him, get to that point. But like Speed coming back and starting to play good, it's good for golf. I love. I don't get to sit around on Sundays like I used to. With my son wants to be outside and this, that, and the other. And tennis matches and all that. Majors, a lot of times I'm gonna sit down for 3 or 4 hours and watch this tournament.
Watch that thing.
It's good to see a mix and not just the same people every time. But that's what I like about Sawgrass is you look at that leaderboard you just talked about. You got Westwood, you got Sergio, who always plays good there, who's won it at least once. And then you got this younger crowd like Fitzpatrick, people like that. And then you got these people that, come in the top 20 every match, but never win or anything like that.
Never win.
They
can never get the job done.
You make like $6 million a year and they don't even sniff winning. That's it's the best job in the world as a pro golfer,
Mm-hmm. After 35 balls found on the water, or let me erase that. After 35 balls found in the water on the Island Green yesterday, how many do you think there will be by the end of this weekend?
I don't know. I do a little pick 'em, and one of my guys on my team, he hit it in there 3 by himself. I don't think as many people
Was
hit
it
it.
Kevin Na?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He withdrew after.
Oh, I know. That's a whole different. I won't go into that because I may say some bad words, but I think as it gets like further in the weekend, like that Thursday pin placement, you're going to have a lot in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Because unless you have the ability to hit it straight up in the air and land it straight down, even if you try to spin it, a lot of times it's going to trickle off the back.
Yeah.
So I'll go with the estimation of not knowing how many have had today. I hadn't looked at anything. I'll say 115.
That's a good guess. But yeah, yesterday that pin placement, you could see whenever they would try to attack the pin, it'd take one big hop and just hit the water. So
it never gave itself a chance to spin back. That's what they were trying to do. And then the ones that were what word am I looking for? The ones that did a good job of it hit it into that, like straight into the uphill or like up slope of the green, up slope. Everybody else, if you did it too far down, it spin back into the water. If it went too far, it was going. And then some people just didn't have a prayer. You know?
Yeah, and then later in the day, the course kind of got softer as the day went on, and they were starting to spin it later in there. But if they would have done that 2 hours before on the tee shot, they probably would have found the water.
Oh yeah.
But do you think Bryson DeChambeau is changing the way golf is being played?
I don't know. I mean, people said the same thing. How far can you make a golf course? You know, people said the same thing about Tiger when he came out, and even Augusta National, the fabled golf course, they even changed their stuff up, and Tiger still won majors there. I mean, it's when it boils down to it, yeah, he probably has an advantage. He hits it longer. He has a decided advantage. But you're a golfer. I played golf my whole life. It doesn't matter how far he can hit it. If he's not pro level when it comes to that 100 yards and in and putting,
he'll get exposed.
And you see, that's the tournaments he wins, he makes putts. And the tournament he loses or doesn't come close, he putts atrocious, 3 and 4 putts. So I don't necessarily think he's changed, but I think it's exciting. Like, going straight over the water last week.
Yeah, it's like he never leaves the golf course though. Like after every round, he's on there 30 minutes to an hour putting on the greens. It's like the kid never quits. I mean,
spotlights out there. At some point you would think that would burn him out, but they say he's so analytical and
he's like a scientist, if you ask me.
That's amazing. I saw this thing on it was on the Golf Channel or something the other day where he was hitting. He started with like a wedge, hit like a 5-iron up to a driver, and he would swing and hit the ball, and he'd be like, "I think that's probably 165 ball speed," and he was within about one mile per hour every time he did it. So I mean, he's dialed into what his swing is doing.
All right, I know there's a lot of golf to be left played, but who would you like to see win this weekend and why?
I think like we talked about, I wouldn't mind seeing Westwood take it from here. For some reason, I just always have liked El Nino, Sergio. And he's always played good there. Is Spieth anywhere close?
I think he's at 1 or even, but he had a tough day today.
He can shoot at 63 if he wants. I'd like to see him do a little something tomorrow to get into contention.
Something crazy always happens on a Saturday at the Players. We all know that. We all know somebody's going to come vaulting up the leaderboard, find a way to get up there. But
let's go with Sergio.
Sergio. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with my pick again, Lee Westwood. I mean, I think that win will be so good for golf. And he really hadn't had that big moment besides the Ryder Cup and all that with Ian Poulter and all that. And I think I think him winning would be great for the game of golf.
Yeah.
But let's switch over to Camden High School women's basketball. Scoop, what do you think is the future of the women's basketball team under Coach Norris?
Yeah, I mean, it's bright. Everybody knows about Joyce Edwards, ninth grader this year. Pretty much been offered by every big girls basketball college in the nation by now. Seems to be very humble, very soft-spoken. I don't know her that well, but I mean, you've got not only that level, you know, luckily we're getting into the age where my daughter used to play basketball. And some of these 5th and 6th graders, 7th graders, she played against. So I kind of know some of those at that level too, and have seen them play. So it's not like you've got they're young, so they've got a good chance here in the next 3 or 4 years if they continue to work hard and stay humble and all that, which I have no doubt. I mean, I've known Natalie my whole life. She played for my dad, almost like a big sister to me. And she's going to keep their head level from a perspective. And I know a lot of her assistant coaches as well. They'll help with that. You know, Daz, I think Cassandra helps her out as well. She was one of my dad's assistant coaches as well as players. So I think the sky's the limit, but I don't think it's going to stop after these, you know, I think it's 3 or 4 ninth graders and 1 8th grader that started this year. And I think Monty Wyatt, who was a senior, was the other one, but they got some talent coming up that are in 6th, 7th, 5th grade right now. So, you know, it's good. You know, I was telling you via text, you know, some people laugh at me because I follow girls sports. But I mean, I was forced to when I was a little kid. You know, I was always with my dad. I was going to camps. So I enjoy, especially girls basketball. You know, because like I told you, I think it's more fundamentally sound than boys basketball. Everybody's not going in there trying to do a dunk over somebody. And I mean, they don't miss.
Oh yeah.
At least the good shooters. When you're talking about like the UConns, the South Carolinas and stuff like that, I mean, they do not miss. So I really enjoy watching it. I just, you know, I used to sit with my dad while he was breaking out film. So I pay attention a lot to the X's and O's, and it's actually see people that set up a offense and run it through once or twice and don't just try to throw an alley-oop. You know, that's why I like North Carolina basketball as well. I mean, because they're men's basketball, but they run a set offense, just like Dean Smith did. Brought my little Dean Smith signed picture here for you to see.
Oh yeah.
Then it went from Dean, now Roy. See that?
He's got a big one tonight, but we'll get into that one later.
Yeah, man.
Next is the Gamecocks women's basketball. They won their 6th SEC championship in the last 7 years after defeating Georgia 67-62 on Sunday. Scoops, just give me your thoughts on this team and what do you think they have going forward?
You know, you never know with this whole COVID thing. I mean, I thought they probably would win the national championship last year if coronavirus didn't, you know, shut everything down. You thought, you know, like Ty Harris leaves, go to the WNBA, you think you're going to have a drop-off, and then they have I forget her name, but a little freshman that comes in there that is just as good as, or if better than Ty Harris. I mean,
Cooper
Staley's got it rolling. And we know from a football perspective, the team up in the upstate that will remain nameless is recruiting. And they have had a rash of recruiting years, 10, 11 straight now, and it shows. And that's what Dawn Staley's doing. I mean, would you want to go play for Dawn Staley? I would. I mean, it's basketball, up-tempo. You get to play early. And, you know, but it all goes back to most basketball. They got a good girl down at down low. I forget a lot first name. Boston, yeah. And I mean, she can hit it from the free throw. So it's hard to guard something like that. But I wouldn't be surprised because she just got, I think one one of her recruits coming in next year was named the Naismith Player of the Year today. I'm surprised if she won 2 or 3 in the next 10 years. I don't think she's going to make a run like Gino Auriemma did, where he won like 8 straight or anything, but they definitely are on the upswing. They're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh yeah. Next is the Gamecock men's basketball team, and this is a debatable topic for any Carolina fan. I mean, they finished the season 6-15 after losing to Ole Miss 76-59 last night, and just from watching the game, Carolina never really got anything going. They stayed within 10 points throughout the first half, and then Ole Miss ran, and then we started coming back, and then Ole Miss just ran again. It pretty much just sums up the whole year. But watching the game last night and not seeing Keyshawn Bryant or Jermaine Kusnar on the floor because of physical or mental health issues. What are your thoughts on that? I didn't really know what to say whenever I heard that on 107.5 this morning.
Well, I know Seventh Woods hurt his groin against Kentucky. He was one of them out, and they said that Cousinard was too. And then there wasn't an explanation for Bryant. Now, Frank said after the game that it was a physical ailment. That nothing, upward trajectory that I was just talking about with Don Staley and them, kind of the opposite for Carolina men's basketball. The problem I have, I think Frank Martin's a good guy. I think he develops good men. I just do not think that he has the recruiting power to consistently compete in SEC. When you're beating people out, one of our buddies, you see his videos just like me, Ryan Branham, Rhino.
Oh yeah.
He mentioned it the other day, when you're beating out, and me and him have talked about that before, when you're beating out, South Carolina State and Charleston Southern and Gardner-Webb for a recruit, that's just not high-level recruiting.
You can't win in the SEC like that, especially how compact the conference is anyways. I mean, I feel like everybody beats each other up to try to find a spot in the tournament each year.
The other problem he has is, well, you could say all the great players like Zion and them, they get it to Dukes and North Carolina as well. Brownell somehow is getting these, some of these guys to stay, and by no means is Clemson a top power or anything, but in a much better situation and a much better consistent basketball play than men's basketball. This is my issue with Frank. I think he's a good guy. He's been here 10 years. And besides that one Final Four run, he really hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
And there hadn't been, I think Rado even said it on his little stream the other day. The other 4 teams that were in that Final Four, now, North Carolina, that's a different story, but they all took that and made something out of it, whereas South Carolina year by year has progressively gone down. Even last year, they probably would have only made the NIT. But when he's best is with homegrown. Eddie Fogler was the same way. Dave Odom, you think about it. I mean, Fogler had McKee, Watson, those Bud Johnson, those guys from Eau Claire. Then Odom, he had like who did Odom have? He had, well, at some point he had like Zam Frederick, or was that the end of Odom? But Zam Fred, that might have been.
That was the Horn era. The Horn era was whenever Devin Downey and all those Downey, guys.
Frederick, yeah.
Archie, Dominique Archie.
Yeah, Frank's best team was Sindarius, BJ Mackey's son, Justin, I think.
PJ Dozier.
I believe, PJ Dozier was young on that team, and then
Silva.
Yeah, I don't even know where Silva was from, but I think Notice was either from North or South Carolina, but
no, Notice was from Canada.
Same thing. Hey, north of South Carolina. That's what I meant. He's from up there.
Coach R too. I mean,
if you ask me if I think we should change, I think so. Because I don't see any recruiting, anything in the next year or two
that's real convincing for anybody.
Yeah, I think we kept Muschamp one year too long. I think we should have learned from that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. But other SEC tournament notables, Alabama rolls over the 9 seed Mississippi State today, 85-48. And then the 4 seed Tennessee defeats the 5 seed Florida. And those two will square off tomorrow at 1 p.m. Scoop, who do you think wins that one?
I think most consistent this year has been Bama. They look strong. You know, when they've had their issues, I think some of it was COVID related. Maybe maybe they had a quarantine break or something, but you know, that's changed this whole dynamic of college. But I think it's affected college basketball more than anything
else. Yes.
I'm glad they're finally letting some fans in the stands, because it was weird as could be watching Duke, North Carolina earlier in the year.
Empty gyms.
With no Cameron Crazies. You know, North Carolina did sweep them, but there was a big difference between that first North Carolina game and that second North Carolina game that was in the Dean E. Smith Center. Just from and there was only 3,200. It's I think Bama probably will take the SEC.
And then there's 2 more tonight. One tipping off at 7, and that's Mizzou and Arkansas. And then at 9 o'clock, the nightcap is Ole Miss and LSU. I think LSU is a team to keep your eye out on. They always seem to show up in big time moments. And Will Wade, I mean, some people don't like him. Some people think he's a crook or whatever, but I think LSU's got a good ball club. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw LSU Alabama on Sunday.
Yeah, but you know, I forgot about Arkansas. I mean, they sneaky have been pretty damn good this year, you know. And they're playing, you know, right now it's who's peaking. I think one thing that has affected some of the blue bloods, and I know we'll get into North Carolina in a minute, but they're starting to peak a little bit. They're playing more like a team, and you know, Kentucky struggled, Duke struggled. Your people that have 4 to 5 to 6 McDonald's All-Americans on their teams. Well, typically in the normal world, those guys play all summer and pick up basketball. You know, they have the preseason, which is normal. They have a set number of practices. By the time the season comes, they're basically sophomores and they're used to each other. They're used to the guys that were already there, the juniors, the seniors. That didn't happen this year. I think the Duke couldn't turn it around really, and they had the Johnson kid, you know, that opted out. Kentucky, I don't know what happened to them, but North Carolina looks, at least the last 2 games,
they look pretty solid.
Yeah, like they've figured.
They're trending in the right direction,
and that's scary for other teams. Now they could lose tonight against Florida State by 25, though. But that's interesting. I'm just sad that some of these other conferences are having to deal. You know, like Virginia not being able to play because of COVID.
Georgia Tech gets a free bypass to the.
Yeah, they're right there. So that their legs, one less game. You know, it's a lot of factors that come into play. But I'm gonna take the Heels to win the ACC tournament.
All right, we'll get into that one next. We'll get into the ACC tournament now. So yeah, Georgia Tech automatically advances after Virginia has COVID issues, so they're in the championship. Like you said, one less game, so they should be pretty fresh and ready to go. But tonight at 8:30, Florida State and North Carolina at 8:30 on ESPN2. Scoop, I know you're a big Heels fan. What do you expect out of the Heels tonight?
I don't know. FSU's good, man. And they have been consistently all year. But like we just talked about, if North Carolina plays like it did the last 2 games, where the younger guys that are supposed to be good shooters are actually making 3-pointers, making their jump shots. And they got 4 or 5 7-footers, and they're playing that inside-outside game, letting the inside game set up the outside shooters, and they're actually making it when they do it. They're going to be tough to beat. Unbiasedly, FSU's probably going to beat them, but I won't pick them.
Yeah, you won't pick against some Heels.
Yeah.
Next and this is probably the biggest Gamecock sport right now, and that's the Gamecock baseball team. Recap from the Citadel game. They defeated Citadel on Wednesday night, 11-7. They had a tough time really getting ahead in the game early. They let the Citadel's miscues lead to some runs, and then they exploded after the Citadel pitcher came off the mound with a little hitch in his giddy up and pointed towards the Carolina dugout. And I guess that pretty much just was the fuel to the fire. And Carolina would pile on 6 hits and 6 runs to beat the Bulldogs. But what are your thoughts from that game? I know it wasn't on TV, but what were your thoughts from that?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the starter for that game was Devin, right?
Yes. He only pitched 1 inning because I think they were trying to do a Johnny Holstaff there to get everybody ready for the weekend. But Devin went 3 up, 3 down first inning.
Yeah. So I was listening to it on radio, and I didn't know what inning I'd started listening, but I heard it must have been the end of that inning. I wish they would have kept him in for a little longer because it seemed like whatever Devin was throwing. Obviously, the listeners, they know who Devin is, Denny Beckley's son, but I wish they would have left him in a little longer. It's one of those midweek
trap games.
Always sneaks up on South Carolina in college baseball, but last year, the year before, that team probably would have lost that game. They're starting to get kind of like swag about them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a killer instinct. And you got some players that are gamers. You know, back when they won those national championships, you always knew you had like your Gamecocks that were going to be consistent. Your Jackie Bradleys, your Whit Merrifields,
Christian Walkers.
Well, you know, Haney would come up when you needed a big hit or a big out, and he'd dive 4 feet, get it, throw him out at the plate like he did in the College World Series. So they're starting to get like fortuitous bounces and just fortuitous plays, I guess is the term that people use.
Yeah, it's like this team, just watching them from the early like season, like compared to last year and the year before, they don't let the small stuff get to them anymore. Like they don't let 1 inning like dwell on the whole game like they did in the past, and it's been good to see. But tonight they'll have a big test with Texas. Texas is Friday night, guys, 96-97. I mean, he's high on a lot of draft boards. So Wes Clark and those
up there with the horns like they do, you know, they got to go over to Austin, and it'll be interesting. But I mean, I'd say since 2010, you know, if you count 2009, 2010, 2000, I mean, I'd say we're right. The last couple of years, no, we haven't been, but kind of neck and neck with Tech. I wouldn't be scared of Texas if I were them. I'd be scared to get hit by a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, but I think we got a good shot, even though we're there. As long as we don't let
the big moment get to us.
Yeah, my dad used to go into gyms and be like, "Don't let the banners in the stand in the rafter on the court." So. But it'll be interesting. Hopefully we're able to find it on some type of stream or something where we can watch it.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to see what the Carolina bats are going to do, because I mean, just from looking at our pitching, I'm not really worried about the guys out of our bullpen, and just from early on, I don't want to jinx them, but I'm really anxious to see this series this weekend. I mean, what are your expectations, and who do you think wins the series?
I think whoever wins tonight takes 2 out of 3. I think this is the big game. You lose the first one, it's tough to win 2 back-to-back.
Especially on the road in that environment.
Especially on the road. But I like our Friday pitcher. Yeah. So he seems to have like a mental strength that you need for that starting going into, I mean, in their eyes, what time is it? I mean, in their eyes, it's 7 o'clock right now, but
they're probably warming up, getting ready.
To Texas, it's like 5 o'clock. So, you know, I think there's like a 2-hour time difference. That's the whole time zone that I never really understood was.
Yeah, I think it may be 1 hour, but
man, waving at you. You're gonna be on YouTube.
Hey, Sam. Good job.
Hey.
Edit that out.
Sorry.
I don't know what I was saying. But yeah, I mean, if we don't let the newer guys on our team, if we don't let that moment be bigger than it really is, I can see us taking 2 or 3. I mean,
I think it's going to be real hard to get a sweep down there in Texas. But I mean, I
don't think either team will sweep. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that Texas wins 2 out of 3.
Hey, but I mean,
trying to do reverse psychology here, Sam. See my hat. I've been known to be the jinx on people, so I'm gonna say they'll win 2 out of 3, and hopefully that'll make us win 2 out of 3.
And then the next 2 weeks, it doesn't get much easier for Carolina. They go to Vandy, and then they welcome Florida back at home. So these next 3 weeks will be a tough and tall task for Mark Kingston and those boys. But I mean, just from watching them early on, I think they just don't seem phased of the big moment. Just watching them early on, and it's going to be. I'm really cannot wait to watch this game tonight and see what goes on. But
Yeah.
Scoop,
it's Clark man-child, you know.
Yes.
I don't think he's human. I don't think he's human. So hopefully he'll get hot again, you know.
Yeah, he's been in a slump as of late, but I mean, hopefully he's seeing it like a beach ball tonight, and he puts a couple into that Texas sky. But I mean, we'll see what happens. But Scoop, you got anything else you want me to cover for you?
I think we were going to go over the top 5 places in South Carolina.
Oh yeah, the final thing here.
Final thing
here is Scoop's top 5 places to dine in South Carolina.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a exquisite restaurant, right?
It can be anything. It can be from dive-ins to fast food to delis, anything, you name it.
Gotcha. All right. So I spent most of my life in the Midlands / low country during college. So I'm gonna go, and these are in no particular order. I'm gonna start with some local ones. So you can't beat the Little Midget.
100%.
You know, you can get anything you want there. I love hot dogs. You can't be their hot dog.
Mm-hmm.
Staying with hot dogs, down in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, you got Jack's Cosmic Dog.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the best hot dogs known to man. When Rhino was doing his hot dog things, I kept trying to get him to go down there. Told him that it would be the only one that was a 10.0. Then I love barbecue. So I'm going to go with Duke's Barbecue in Orangeburg. There's a few of them spread throughout. Hammies or something like that would probably be on there if they were still open, but you know, Duke's is still open. So that's 3. I don't know much about the upstate. And I'm not big into like where you pay $50 and you get a little piece of meat that big, you know?
Mm-hmm. Steakhouses and all that.
Yeah. I'll stay here. It came, it went, now it's come back and done a great job of, you know, reinvigorating what it was to begin with. But Scott down there at Hell Street Grill, same thing. Whether it's breakfast, whether it's lunch, you can't beat that. And then I'm going to go, and I don't even know if it's still open or not. There was a place down in Charleston, seafood wise. It was on Bo Hickett Marina. Forget the name of it, but fresh oysters, stuff like that. Seafood wise, I mean, you can't be being down in anywhere in the from Hilton Head up to about Georgetown, you know. So
you can't beat that area for food.
I mean, it's like they make them special in that area, because the ones up in Myrtle Beach and north of that, they don't taste anything like the ones down in Charleston. So, but, you know, big box ones, I like a good steak, a good potato. And
what about Groucho's? That wasn't on your top 5?
Yeah, I was trying to go with like meats and vegetables and seafood and stuff like that. I mean, when you're talking about subs and stuff, yeah, I mean, Groucho's with sauce, you can't beat that. I'm glad they finally started moving around. They got one in Georgetown, so every now and then when we're on the way to the beach, we'll stop in there for lunch. But you also can't beat you can't beat just your traditional like substation too.
Oh yeah.
So I try to support local when possible. And substation 2 has never done me wrong, so I enjoy it. Between Camden and Blue Golf, try to help both of them out.
The consistency at substation is unlike any other to me.
I mean, because the menu on the little wall up there has not changed probably since you were born. So
yeah.
You don't have to worry about it. As number 12, is it actually what number 13 used to be? If they changed,
At
you know
Subway,
what you want. You go in there, you say the number, they make it. Yep.
You go to Subway, they got different menu at like every other year. I mean, you can't even go in there and just pick out what you normally order because the menu's different every time.
Well, I'm not. I still like Subway. It's easy, fast, but try to support the local franchisees if I can instead of the big box franchisees. But yeah, I just once again, before we leave, I mean, just proud of what you're doing. Known you since you were little, and your family, your mom, your dad, granddaddy's one of my favorite people in the whole entire world. I could sit around and listen to him talk.
Listen to him for hours
On end, which I used to every now and then up at the golf course before I had a wife and kids and had to be somewhere at a specific time. We would have some conversations, but definitely hope you keep doing it. And I hope it becomes something that you can really hold into something even bigger. And like I said, if I can help out in any way, definitely let me know. I'll be more than happy to do so. And I just like getting on talking sports,
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to do this along the road again. Definitely.
It's tough to follow up. Zaire Bradford. I mean, that kid's impressive. I reached out to him and told him I would like to meet him someday. I was just very, very impressed at 18 years old, somebody that mature and that outlook on life. And I didn't know him. I know his dad, but the Lindsay kid, what's his first name?
Patrick.
That kid knows his sports.
Oh yeah.
It was fun watching because he you can definitely tell that he follows sports. He reads the sports page. He's probably somebody that knows batting averages off the top of his head. But I think if you keep getting those type of people on there instead of me, and have just somebody that just likes to talk sports every now and then, I think it'll definitely be very successful. And just keep Marshall's ugly mug off of there. That might be.
All right, Scoop. Thanks for your time, man. We'll stay in touch. We have a big weekend ahead of us, and I'm sure we'll be talking through it. So thank you again for your time. And that's going to wrap us up today. Let me end us with some closeout music. Thank you, everybody. See you, Scoop. Thank you for your time.
See you, man. Thanks.